If you are someone who is feeling like at this point, I don't know what else to do besides a GLP-1, you do not want to miss this interview. When Shay came to me, and I'm kind of giving away the farm here, but not just her doctor, but her naturopath told her, I don't know how else for menopausal women to lose weight besides a GLP-1. And as you'll hear, thank goodness, Shay had the know-how of, you know what, I've heard a lot of sketchy things about losing bone density, about losing muscle mass. So if I'm going to try this, I'm going to get some tests done before. I'm going to do it for a month. I'm going to get some tests done afterwards. And if I don't like the direction in which we're trending, I'm out. And massive spoiler alert, she didn't like the way that things were trending, got off the drug, joined us in Ignite. Here's my favorite part of the story. When she saw that there's a better way, it changed her life so much. This is the story of a lot of our coaches here at Mindstrong, that she wanted to shout it from the rooftops. So now Shay has actually become a coach for Mindstrong to show women that there is a better way, that these drugs are dangerous and that you don't need them. So when women come to me and say, I'm at my wit's end, I don't want to go on a drug, I don't know what else to do, I always tell them, hang tight, let me tell you about Shay. So I am so excited to share Shay's story with you today. Check it out. All right, so let's dive in with pre-Ignite Shay. Can you think back to before you started, what was going on physically, mentally, emotionally that brought you to the Mindstrong family?
Yeah, I essentially most of my life haven't had to worry too much about weight. Like I was able to drop weight if I needed to and just really stayed within a range that was normal for me. But about 3 to 4 years ago, I just started noticing some shifts and changes just in body composition and energy levels and things. And that I was like, what's going on? And when I tried kind of usual things like nothing was changing. And since I really always followed kind of health advice, and so I, had tried low carb things and had tried intermittent fasting and things like that, and mostly out of kind of health related looking, not necessarily weight loss. But even when I tried those things for weight loss, wasn't having much success. And so I thought, well, I must be missing exercise, right? It's the exercise component I need to bring in. So I did. Um, I reached out and got a personal trainer, and I started lifting weights, which I really enjoyed. And as part of doing that, they do a body scan, which does actual, your body fat mass and your muscle mass and weight. And I thought, when I started that, I thought, oh, well, awesome. Now I'm just going to see these changes take place like rapidly. Now that I'm lifting weights and I know I eat healthy, and like this is just going to change. And so I would get tested about every 3 to 6 months. And I saw like a little bit of improvement in the beginning, and then everything just started, like my weight kept going up, my body fat kept going up, muscle mass changed slightly, but really no improvements. And I just was getting so frustrated and like, what is happening? Um, and so I thought, and then I'm like, okay, so I need to eat more protein. So I did exactly what you say not to do. I went from probably 50, 60 grams of protein to 120, like within a matter of days, and just was like chewing on chicken and like, oh God, like just to get it in. But even then, I did that for 3 to 6 months and still nothing. Still everything's like weight keeps creeping up, body fat keeps going up. And I just was so uh, depressed about it. I was like, what is that happening? And there was a little voice in the back of my mind that had started to say, are you sure you're eating enough?
Mm.
But but there was like no answer for that. There was no, I couldn't find any resources. Like it just didn't make sense. Plus, I was just kind of trying to reject it too. It's like I can't fathom trying to eat more. And so I met with my doctor. This was a little less than a year ago now. Met with my doctor, who's a naturopath, and explained to her what I was trying to do. And I'm just frustrated and don't know what's happening. And she said, well, and I love my naturopath. She's helped in so many ways around hormones and things. But she said, well, The only thing we've really seen move the needle in this for women, menopausal, perimenopausal women is a GLP-1, like Ozempic. And I think my jaw hit the floor.
Yep.
Just was like, what? Like it just didn't intuitively make sense to me. And I was like, I am not a candidate for a GLP-1. And like, I don't have a lot of weight to lose. And but I was so desperate and I trusted her. And I thought, well, okay, maybe I'm just missing something about this. But I said, I don't want to lose any muscle mass. And that was my biggest concern, which I voiced to her. I said, I'm working hard to keep what I have. So I will only do this if I test with my trainer before I start it, and I'll try it for a month. So I tried it for a month. I tested before. In a month, I lost 2 pounds and my muscle mass came down. Not a lot, but it came down. And I was like, nope,
Yep.
not doing it. Not doing it. And in my mind, I was like, there's no way I can eat the amount of protein I need to eat to maintain my muscle mass and have no appetite to do this. So, I stopped that and just was like, well, I don't know. I sort of started to go down the abyss of like, okay, I guess this is just life, I'm 2 sizes up from what I'm used to being. And um, yeah, I'll keep working out because I feel better. I'm stronger, but um, I'm not happy with what's happening. And then thankfully, it was maybe a month or so, 2 months after that, one year, your video came across my feed, and I watched your training course that you did. And it was like you were speaking directly to me. It was like you were hitting all the things that I was experiencing. And I was like, oh my God. So like, I mean, you could have just signed me up right at that moment. I was like, didn't even have to do an initial call. I was just like, just sign me up. This is what I need. Um, so that was what got me into Ignite and got me started.
Yeah, that jaw on the floor. The first time that you told me that story about it would be bad enough with a doctor, but a naturopath who you trust, and it just shows like it's nothing against that naturopath. It's that doctors are not receiving this training in menopause, which is why women feel so gaslit because we're being told eat less, move more. We're like, I freaking am. And it's not that they're trying to gaslight us. The research just isn't there. It hasn't been there. You hear me
Yeah.
say all the time, I hope in 10 years I have to teach something else in Mindstrong because medical school has caught up.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Yeah.
you watch my video. Good to know. We could have skipped the whole strategy session and just signed you up.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
kick off your 12 weeks. Do you remember any initial aha moments? Maybe it was mentally, maybe it was physically, but a moment or two where you were like, "Wait a second, this makes sense. It feels like something's clicking, and this might actually be the thing." Do you remember any moments like that?
Yeah, I actually initially early on, I don't know, it was maybe 6 weeks or so in, actually had some weight loss and some body composition, just a little bit, but it was a shift. And I was like, this is bizarre. Like I'm eating more slowly and I'm actually dropping some
Hmm.
weight. So this clearly I'm in the right mode at this point. Like this is the right direction to go. And I definitely, even over time, my energy and my ability to do my workouts, actually my desire to do my workouts has increased. Over time, I'm hitting, lifting more weights, sending PRs to my kids, going, look,
Yes.
I'm lifting, 30-pound dumbbells and things. So that part has felt really good.
I love that. And that makes so much sense too, right? Because if we're under fueling our body, even if we don't know it, our workouts are not tapping into their potential. And as humans, we're pleasure seeking creatures. Why would we keep doing it if we're not seeing and feeling the results? So as you feel yourself get stronger, it's like, wait a second, I get to text my kid a PR. I love that. Like, let me do more of that. And it just naturally taps into that psychological part of training. I'm going to interrupt this episode real quickly to ask a 30-second favor. If you are loving the podcast, if you can tap that 5-star review button above, maybe even leave a few nice words, it is the biggest help to getting the podcast out there. As the time I'm recording this, we don't advertise the podcast, so we rely on our old friend, the algorithm, to help get it in the hands of other women. Leaving a review is the absolute number one way to help us do that. Thank you in advance. Thank you. Thank you. Now let's get back to the episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. And you're one, I just want to pause here because for a lot of people in the healing stage, we call them a unicorn. Every once in a while, we get someone who loses weight in a healing stage. And there's theories about why this happens. Scientifically, it shouldn't be happening, but sometimes we strike gold. Maybe we're paying attention to different food sources, choosing more anti-inflammatory. But a healing stage, one of my favorite expressions is you can't run a marathon until you learn to crawl, right? A healing stage is to get your metabolism better at burning calories so that the old rules of eat less, move more go back to working. But for you, I love that you struck gold and in the healing stage, your body actually started changing right off the bat. Like what a win and what motivation to keep going.
Yeah. That
Good.
helped a lot.
You
Yeah.
mentioned energy increase, workouts better. Were there any other physical changes you can think of that you started to notice as we got not only more calories in your body, but that distribution of carbs? I would assume from your background that was a bit of a mind game, getting more carbs in and fat and protein with that.
Yeah, it was delightful to bring pasta back into my
Yes.
life and not like, the world didn't implode or anything like that. Just being able to have more flexibility around food. I didn't realize really how restrictive I had become. And just being able to embrace some of that was nice and not have it, cause terrible things to happen, which is sort of what I had talked myself into
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not alone in that, right? The diet culture has brainwashed all of us that carbs are evil, carbs are the enemy. And the reality is, in a menopausal body, I have yet to meet a human who is successfully losing weight without carbs. And it's a mind game, which, much like your protein point, this is why we don't go 0 to 100. We're not going to double, triple your carb intake overnight. But as we start making those baby steps, that's where the magic happens. Energy increases, workouts get more fueled, all the things you're describing.
Yeah.
I love that. What would you say is your biggest shift from this journey so far? Whether it's physically, whether it's relationship with food, whether it's a mental thing, can you pinpoint one or two of your biggest shifts that you felt so far?
I've really had a reality check of
Mm,
how long I pushed my body in a depleted state.
oof.
So, um, I had to get realistic with myself about how long I think I was eating low calorie. And I'd say it's probably easily a decade.
Yeah.
Um, which means I have to be realistic about how quickly I can expect my body to trust me again and to get to a new um, phase. So that's a daily conversation with myself. I'm having to just say, you ran yourself down for a really long time
Mm,
without realizing it. And now you need to give yourself some time to get back into a healthy state. I kind of equated a little bit with, you know, pregnancy weight gain, when
mm,
you gain quite a bit of weight during pregnancy, and then there's this expectation, plus just our cultures, right? Immediate rewards. You want a quick fix and you want it now. It's really hard to stay in that game knowing that you're going to need to take longer to get the weight off. Like you have to be realistic about how slowly it came on and how slowly it might take to come off, and just believing in the process. I have some of your podcasts that are just like on repeat. When I'm having a down day, I'm like, okay, it's time to listen to that podcast again. It's time to like do that. I just have to, because it is so it's just it is counterintuitive, and there are still some hard days, but I'll get there, and it just makes so much more sense, and it fits with what I understand about what my body needs to function.
Yeah. I
Um,
love your brain, Shay. I was thinking that when you were talking about like going on drugs and measuring your muscle mass, like those are, science. You hear me say a million times, science is going to science, right? So the way that your brain is like, well, I'm going to monitor this and let's see how the science. And for you to be able to get real with yourself and be like, yeah, it's probably been a decade. And it's a terrible analogy, and I always ask for forgiveness before I say this one out loud, but if you've been married for 5 years and your spouse has been cheating the whole time and then they're on good behavior for a month and they're like, well, am I good now? It's like, well, I don't think those two things balance out, right? And there's an element of trust to our body that if it has been underfueled and, abused is a harsh term, but like depleted for so long, it is thrilled with us that we're giving it what it needs now. And it just takes a bit more of that time and consistency versus, someone just that hasn't put it through the gamut as much. And
yeah.
there's no blame in that, right? If these are things that I pray one day we're teaching women in their 20s, 30s, because we've never been taught it. And this is why the journey is so specific to every person, because there's so many factors. And one of those huge factors is what's your metabolism been through over the years. And I love that you can zoom out and recognize, doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean that the switch flicks and we're golden every day. I know the tools I need to stay the course. And I understand why it's a little bit of a longer journey.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you were brilliant in calling it a healing phase.
Mm,
I'd certainly heard in the past, I'd heard reverse dieting, right?
yeah.
And I just immediately rejected.
Yep. It's a
I was like,
visceral
are you
reaction.
kidding me? Like that is just like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Um, and that had been playing, but the way you've framed it and like that makes so much more sense. And like, absolutely, like this is a healing process, which also, helps me think about it like healing takes time, you know.
Yeah,
And
that's true. And for people who've never heard that word before, you'll hear the word reverse diet over and over again. I hate the word diet for the same reason you just said. It's like a visceral whole body no.
yeah,
But to your point, that what we are doing is healing your metabolism. We're getting better at burning calories. And the whole point of it is there is truth that eat less, move more is the key to weight loss when you have a working metabolism. So we got to let it go through its healing phase to get it back to that place. I'm so glad that resonated with you because I have the same reaction to diet.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
last question and my favorite one. I'm going to put you in the coach's chair. So instead of Rachel, the founder of Mindstrong on this side, I'm Rachel, the newbie who's doing all the things, cutting carbs, intermittent fasting, working out way more than logically I know I should, but I don't know what else to do. And I come across this Mind Strong thing. I've been promised the world, no one's delivered. What do you, Coach Shay, say to petrified, skeptical newbie Rachel?
You've come to the right place.
Mhm.
Like, that this is uh, you're here because you've tried all the things and they're not working. And this is a place where you can get some realistic understanding about what's happening with your body and how to how to treat it moving forward. And you'll learn a lot in the process. So it's important to be open to learning new things, learning new skills, learning about how your body functions, because it's not something that we were taught coming up. It's not something that our culture talks about at all. So there's an importance to be open and to be patient um, process.
Yeah.
So
And that education piece, I mean, that's to me, that's the key to everything, right? If this was Rachel's 12-week diet, great. Like we'll get you as far as we get you in the healing stage. And then what? But it's really about putting you in the driver's seat. You've heard my joke a million times. I have the worst sales pitch in the world because you need me once, right? Once you've got the tools, you know how to ride a bike, try to fall off that bike. And I think you're just such a beautiful example of leaning into that education piece. How much can I glean from this? Because the work works when you do the work. It really comes down to education and then trusting in biology.
yeah, yeah. There's an importance in the community too.
Mm,
The community aspect that you bring to the work is helpful as well, because it's just important to know we're not alone. It was important for me to know I'm not alone in the process. And so hearing people ask the questions, the repeating, how long is it going to take? Like that is just the golden question. And it's like, it's okay. Like, but having a community to lean into as part of that is really helpful as well. I think
Yeah.
that
I'm so glad you said that because especially in this world of perimenopause, postmenopause, it is so easy to feel like something's wrong with us, right? My doctor's telling me this, I'm doing it, it's not working, I must be broken. And when you get in a community of a few hundred women who are asking the same questions, voicing the same frustrations, experiencing a similar journey, there's just not that we wish this on anyone else, but there's validation in knowing like, oh, this is actually very normal, whether it's the fears or the journey itself. And it's a powerful thing to have that community there.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. Anything else you want to add about your journey so far? Anything we haven't touched on before we wrap up?
I would just say I have a plaque in my house that I look at frequently in this phase of my life, and it just said I wrote it down. But she wasn't where she had been. She wasn't where she was going, but she was on her way.
Mm,
So
I love that. And we are all on our way, right? Every area of life, we're all on our way.
yeah, yeah,
I love it. Shay, thank you so much. I know that there's so many women out there who can relate, especially where you started of doing everything right, maybe even being told that the only answer here are drugs. And there's something inside of us that knows that that can't be right. That doesn't sound biologically right. And hearing that there is hope, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I know is going to be so powerful.
yeah. Great. Thank you for having me. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. If you're not sure where to start on your menopausal nutrition journey, I got a no-brainer for you. If you go to www.mindstrongfitness.com, there's going to be a little pop-up on the screen that invites you to join my free workshop. It's called How to Fire Up Your Metabolism in Menopause and Beyond, and I am going to give you all the tools you need to get started on this journey, totally free. Go to www.mindstrongfitness.com or just use the link in the show notes below and dive in.